Welcome to ArtStarts Explores, our province of play. My name is Kay Slater, and I'm the gallery coordinator and preparator at ArtStarts in Schools. Every month, we pick a new theme to explore together through art making and play. In these workshops, you can watch along anytime you have time to make, or listen, or just watch. We encourage young people, families, and creative people of all ages to join us every week on Saturdays at 11 a.m. as we release a new episode. These videos are for you, whether you want to join us on Saturday when they become available, or anytime you want to make. We're so glad you're watching. Have you missed a week? Check out artstarts.com/explores-online or any of our videos on YouTube or Facebook to check out an episode you've missed. Okay, let's explore together. Before we begin making, let's review the 3 rules of Explores. We've got rules in quotes here because they're less rules and more like guidelines or things that we like to have in mind before we start making together. First is respect. We practice respect for ourselves by checking in with ourselves every day before we start making. Maybe we didn't have a good night's sleep, or we're feeling really good today. Whatever it is, we want to take the time to check in with ourselves. We also practice respect by doing the same thing for each other. And if we're not making alone, we're making with other grown-ups, or other youth, or friends, or classmates. We want to practice respect by asking them how they're feeling as well, so we can be mindful of each other while we make together. Another way we practice respect is with our tools. That can be about putting them away when we're all finished, or using them safely. If somebody else is waiting for a turn to use a tool, we can use our words or our signs and share. We can respect each other by asking how long they'll need the tool so we can move on to something else, or if we need it now, we can let them know when we will be done and tell them we will pass them the tool when we're finished. We can also practice respect by acknowledging the land. So this space that you see here is my studio space. And I'm on the stolen, or unceded, territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations as an uninvited guest on these lands. One of the ways I practice respect is by acknowledging where I'm coming from and to be respectful of the lands, waters, and to the indigenous people who are here and who have been here since time immemorial while I have access to these lands. You can practice respect by finding out the territories and lands where you are watching and making from today, and by being the best guest you can and respecting the host nations, the lands, and waterways where you live. The second rule is that nothing is for keeps. I encourage you whenever possible to take things from the recycling bin. You can take paper that's already been drawn on, or has writing on the back, or is ripped, and then you don't have to feel worried about ripping it up yourself, or crumpling it, or just trying something out. It doesn't have to be good or perfect the first time, because it's not for keeps. And when we're all finished, I encourage you to take it apart. That helps really make it so that it isn't for keeps. Because if you know you're going to take it apart at the end, you don't have to make any finished thing. You can try all the things and ways of making. Our last rule is no expectations. If we're not expecting something to turn out good, or even to turn out bad, we're open to it going in a whole bunch of different ways. And that means that all respectful and creative ideas are good, regardless of what happens after we try something. If you already know how something is going to turn out, if you've done it before, we can be open to trying something completely new and practice surprise. And if it doesn't turn out, that's okay. It's not for keeps. These are the 3 rules that we like to keep in mind when we explore together every week. Okay, let's get making together. everyone, and welcome to ArtStarts Explores. My name is Kay Slater, and I'm the gallery coordinator and preparator at ArtStarts in Schools. This week, we're going to continue our exploration of collage. We've been exploring collage for the past 2 weeks, but if this is your first week exploring with us, that's great. If you want to go back and check our previous weeks, you can check them out on artstarts.com/explores-online, on our YouTube page, or our Facebook page. But if you're starting with us with this week, that's just fine. You're not missing out on anything. This week, I thought we could explore collage through collaboration. Collaboration is basically a fancy word for working with other people. So this is a really nice continuation of the theme of collage, because the word collage, which is a French word spelled C-O-L-L-A-G-E, is actually, it comes from the French word colle, which means glue. What we've been exploring in past weeks is that we don't actually need glue to make collage, because the thing that glue does is it sticks things together. And there are other ways to stick things together besides using glue. We create a word by sticking together letters. We make pictures by bringing in different ideas and assembling them together. In fact, this French word, collage, is closely associated with another way of art making, which is called assemblage, which in English is to assemble, to bring things together. Whether you're making assemblage, which is bringing things together without sticking them together, or you're making collage, where you're sticking things together, whether permanently or not, this idea of bringing together ideas and bringing things from different places and then mixing them up to make something new is really exciting when you start exploring with other people. You're not just limited to your ideas. You get to pull from a library or a pool or the brain of somebody else. And so with both of your thoughts or with multiple people working together, think about all the ways you can explore. You're going to be at least twice as many as what you could do by yourself. So last week's collage was led by my work friend, Alyssa. And so what Alyssa did for her collage exploration was she explored wordy pictures. So she made pictures out of words. She assembled letters and stuck them together to make words and then to make new words. She invited me to collaborate and to work with her this week, exploring collage based on what she did last week. And so I have a special message from Alyssa. This week's exploration would be a really fun thing for you to do with other people who you're making with, but also friends, family, and classmates while you're socially distanced or distanced over the holiday or taking a school break. You can absolutely work in collaboration with other people, even if you're not sharing the same making space. I'm going to move some of my stickies to the side so I have a little bit more room to see what Alyssa sent me. Okay. So if you made along with Alyssa last week, you probably know what's in this envelope. But if this is your first week making with us, you get to discover this along with me. All right, I'm going to dump it all out. What is inside? Oh, I see a bunch of different pieces of paper and a sticky. All right. So even though Alyssa isn't here in the space with me, she is kind of in the space. Her ideas have come into the space. And so I'm going to put her sticky beside me because I couldn't do this without the work that she made. If you're just following along with us this week and not making yourself, you can come up with different ways to collaborate with other people, or you have my permission to exactly copy what Alyssa and I did this week. If you just want to be inspired by what I'm making today, you absolutely can do that. I recommend that you gather some paper. And if you've made with us before, you know that we encourage you to go to the recycling bin and find whatever paper you can. It doesn't matter if it's already been drawn on or cut out or has writing on it or comes from different materials, whatever you can find in the recycling bin. Because remember, whatever we make today is not for keeps. It's going to go back into the recycling bin when we're done. So we might as well take it from the recycling bin to begin with. Do you have any mark making tools? And a mark making tool is anything that makes a mark. A pencil, a crayon, a marker, pudding if you have permission. Anything that marks up the page is great. I've got a dotted line here, and I've also suggested that you could grab some scissors if you like to cut your paper. I love ripping paper, so I may or may not use my scissors, but I have them available. And I'm an adult, so I feel pretty safe using sharp scissors. But if you are making with other grown-ups or you feel uncomfortable using the scissors that you have in your space, ask for permission or ask for help before using any sharp scissors. The other thing I have under my dotted line is some glue. We are exploring collage, so if you want to grab some glue and stick things down on the page that we're not keeping, that's totally okay. But remember, it's not for keeps. So you don't have to glue anything down because we're going to take everything we make and put it back in the recycling bin. But it's there just in case you want to make with it. All right, I'm ready to check out what Alyssa sent me. So I have the assemblage, the assembling, the coming together of all of the letters that Alyssa made last week by looking around the space. And so if you haven't received a fun letter yet from somebody, or you're making a letter to give somebody else so that they can explore, you could start by taking a piece of paper, looking around your space, and writing down the different things that you see. You could also put just a bunch of random letters on the page if you want, because the next step of Alyssa's exploration was that she cut up all the letters into individual pieces. What's really cool is that I also have the words that Alyssa ultimately made by cutting up all these letters. Map, clock, pup, the letter B, the letter S is over here. Oh, maybe the letter B went over here. Bottle, and goat. So I have multiple things to work with because I have the printed out versions of the things that she made. I'm responding to things that she made. So I could take these letters and I could recreate what she did. So I think that's the B, from bottle, O, T, another T. There's the L. There's the E. I need another T. Where is it? Oh, there. Ta-da! There we go. So I could go through and I could just take, oh, the bottle was there. This is what she assembled from here. I could go book, B-O-O. Okay. There we go. Or I could use the words that she made afterwards. I have lots of options because of all the things that she has sent me. Move these to the side. Okay. So what am I going to make this week? And I'm really open to however I want to respond to this. I could just stick all of these things onto a page and then go from there. I could cut these up again and make more letters for myself. I could try and make new words that match. There's just so many things I could do. Gosh, what am I going to do first? Okay, I think I'm going to start by responding or using the assembled words that Alyssa made. And I'm going to collage these words together and make something new. So I'm going to take all the individual letters. I'm going to put them to the side so I can focus on the words. All right, so I have a piece of paper. It's got some printing on it. I'm going to turn it to the other side, but it'd be fine if I used that side. And I'm going to start by just framing these words by putting them on the page. Pup, map, clock, goat, bottle. Nope. I want goat, pup. This is why I like not using glue when I'm doing collage, because I want to be able to move things around as much as possible before I finish coming up with an idea. Goat, pup. I like that. Okay, goat, pup. Goat, pup, clock, yeah, clock, and you know what? I'm not going to use map because I don't have to use all the pieces that were sent to me, right? I'm not forced to use all the pieces. I could make multiple pieces. I could cut this into something smaller. Just because somebody else has given me these pieces doesn't mean I have to use it. It's not a puzzle. They're just ready-mades. They're things that I can choose now. It's my turn. By collaborating with somebody else, they give me pieces. They give me the start of an idea, but then they give me permission to respond however I want to with these pieces, especially with Explores, because nothing's for keeps. So there's really no wrong or right way for me to use any of these letters because there is no right way to use these letters. In fact, I'm going to take my marker and I'm going to make some of these letters a little bit darker because I think these ones were done in pencil and I just want them to be a little bit clearer to be able to be seen. And I have permission to do that because it's now my turn to make with these. That's something really cool about collaborating with people is that you get to practice giving up your work to somebody else, about figuring out how it feels when you make something and you give it to somebody else and you give them permission to do whatever they want. You kind of give up control. You get to see what happens. You get to practice surprise. And that might be difficult to do the first couple of times you do it, but you really get to see what happens, and you have no expectations because you really don't know what the other person is going to do, especially if you don't give them any directions or rules. And Alyssa was very kind. There's no rules. She didn't send me any expectations or things that I had to do. She just gave me a bunch of ready-mades. And so she gives me permission to try to do whatever I want to do within this space. Okay, so I think I like this orientation because I've decided that the way that I am going to start responding to these words is I'm going to take my own marker and I'm going to make a story. The goat pup, I've decided that's their name. The goat pup sees, I'm going to draw a picture because I want to. Sees the clock ... It's bottle time. I'm going to put a little alarm clock. Looks like 7 o'clock is bottle time. And there we go. And so I could stick these down if I wanted. But I could also start bringing in some of the other pieces that were sent over here. And I could go, all right, what do I have available? I could also cut up map, because why not? What else could I do? What could you send to somebody else that they could play with? What letters would you send? You could do what Alyssa did by making the page, but you could also pick your favorite words or send your favorite foods or send a page of just your name written multiple times in different ways. Is this an I or an H? I don't know. I've decided it's going to be an H. I also get to decide the orientation. Who says that I have to have my C's be C's? Why can't they be U's? Or a bunch of horseshoes? I have another U. There we go. For horseshoes. What else is there? You know what? I think the goat sees the clock and it's pie time. Actually, you know what? I prefer cake. It's cake time. What else? It's bake time. It's lake time. Maybe it's time for a swim. What else? Sees the... What do I have? What letters do I have? You know what? If I don't have the letters that I want, I could just make the letters that I want. What other letters do I want? I'm gonna write my name. I'm going to draw some mountains. Draw sunshine. I'm going to write knee. I'm going to write glue. I'm going to write plastic. Looking around my space right now. There we go. And then I'm not going to cut it. I'm going to rip it and add to my ready-mades. Mix them up with the ones that I got from Alyssa because I'm not limited to just use her ready-mades. When I'm done, I could send these back to Alyssa. We could go back and forth and see how many times we want to play this game before we run out of ideas. Do you think we would run out of ideas? How many times do you think you could play this with somebody before you would run out of ideas? All right, what do I have now? Sees the mountains. It's lake time. How about the goat, pup? What else do I have? I know I had an H here. I know because I said it before, but the orientation or direction that it was in. This is kind of fun too, seeing what you got. There it is. Okay, H, E, A, R. I can go off the page because why not? And S. So the goat pup hears the mountains. It's lake time. And so I could be building a story, bringing in graphics, mixing my own. I could take all of these pieces now, change it up so that it goes back to Alyssa or another friend. I have to change the address up here too. I'm from ArtStarts as well. There you go. Reuse the envelope. I could put a piece of tape on that. When Alyssa's done, she could send me this back again. And I could take all of the pieces that I've made now and add them and go back and forth, continuing to add. How thick do you think this envelope could get? How many times do you think it would take for us to go back and forth before we couldn't fit anything else into this envelope anymore? That would be fun. Okay, so I continued to make a collage collaboratively, or a collage with my friend Alyssa, by using the letters as letters to make words, or using the words to make sentences or to make a story. But what if I look at Alyssa's letters, or what if you look at your friend or whoever you're collaborating with, whoever makes the letters that you're working with, as marks? Because remember, anytime you make a mark on the page, it's your mark. It's your gesture. You've made a mark. So what if, I was kind of playing with this before with the horse. I'll use a different piece of paper just so it's really clear, but I could totally, you know what, I'm going to use this piece of paper on the other side. There we go. So I was kind of starting to do this before with the horseshoes. There we go. Where was the other U? Oh, I even had another U because I made my own U. And I'm not using just U's, right? I'm also using the C's. So now I've got these horseshoes here. Well, what if the horseshoes are happening on a trail? I'm going to put some rocks to the side here, maybe some grass, or some rocks on the trail as well. Kind of muddy. Here we go. And then to the side of the trail, there's some trees, but I'm looking at it from above, so I'm going to kind of do a bird's eye or above view of some branches. There's the tree trunk down there. Maybe it's winter or fall because the branches are pretty empty. And then there is a stream that's happening over here. What of these marks would work for water? Or what else could I put in my scene here? So I kind of feel like the S could be part of the stream, the water. So I got another S here from the marks. Have any more? Oh, there's another horseshoe over here, another C. Great. What else? Oh, there's another S. Because the S's kind of look like waves. Do I have any more S's? Oh, I made an S. Super. And then maybe there's some bubbles in the water. So I'm going to put some O's in there as well. You know what, I'm just going to try and cover up this much space as I can to really fill in the water over here. Oh, you know what, the bubble in my eye. Oh, and there's another O over there. And I don't have to just stick with the squares. I could rip the ready-mades that Alyssa sent me, or that your friend or the person you're making with gave you to fit my page. I'm going to rip on the outside of this one as well. Because we're not giving these back afterwards, right? There's no expectations that we have to keep them exactly in the format we received them. For Explores, if you were doing this with somebody with the intention to make something for keeps, or if somebody asked you to return them afterwards, right? You'd want to be sure when you were making that everybody's working with the same rules. But if both of you know the rules of Explores, then you know it's not for keeps, and that whenever you're finished with it, unless you're going to collect these things and send them to somebody, it's going in the recycling bin. So really, you have the opportunity, you have the permission to do whatever you want. And you know what? I really like these pieces that I ripped out, so I'm going to put them back in the water, because why not? Because they're not letters anymore, they're not words, they're forms, they're marks. So I can totally use the pieces that I've ripped. There you go, so there's my water. And then what else? Kind of feel like the T's could make another tree. How many T's do I have here? There's another T. I have another T. Oh, the L could work. Yep. Oh, the I could be a branch there. Oh, this I could also work. Maybe the stones on the side of the path. Or maybe it's like a fence. There you go, with the peas. Oh, I have lots of peas. Cool. I'm gonna layer them on top of each other. In fact, I'm gonna grab my scissors. I'm gonna make it look like it's one long line. There you go. Do I have any more? Yep. Lots of P's. And don't forget, there's no reason why I couldn't just add my own to bring them together, right? Because we're just sticking ideas together. P. Right? There's no rule that doesn't say that we can't add our own marks in here. That's very collaborative. If I had some more P's over here, I could cut up the P's in pop. Do the same thing on the other side. But for this one, because it goes under the trees, I think, well, I do need to rip it because it has to go this direction. There we go. And I'm going to connect these together. P, P, and P over there. There we go. And so I could keep building my drawing because each of these letters here are marks, are gestures, are drawings that Alyssa sent me. And if they look too much like letters, there's no reason why I couldn't take each one of these ready-mades and rip them up until they were just marks for me to use, right? This is no longer an M. This is two jagged lines, and these are two rounded kind of D shapes. And this A here could be a triangle. I'll put that on the white paper so it's easier to see. There are lots of different ways that you can explore collage. And you can see that when you work with another friend or another person, you just add more options, more ideas, more possibilities for you to explore. And remember, I said I could take all of these now and put them back into an envelope and send it off to Alyssa. But Alyssa and I agreed that this is the last week that we're going to be exploring collage. So I have permission to now clean up my space, put it in the recycling bin so that we can explore something new next month. One of the other things that happens when you collaborate with somebody else is you have discussion and you have conversation, and sometimes you come up with ideas that you wouldn't have thought of by yourself. And one of the things that Alyssa and I were talking about when we were talking about collaborating was that even though nothing that we make is for keeps, that doesn't mean that we don't keep something when we explore. What we keep is the experience, the things we learned, the questions we answered, the techniques we figured out, or sometimes even the questions that we didn't answer that we're going to bring to the next time we explore. So going forward from today, Alyssa and I are going to always end our explorations with a question to ourselves of what are we going to take away from today's session? And we invite you to do the same thing. What I'm going to take away from today's session is I really like this technique of cutting up letters and then taking a picture of it and then printing it out. Even more than I think I would have liked it with the original letters if I had taped them or glued them onto a page by itself. I really like this as a ready-made even more than the letters by themselves. And I think I'm going to use this technique in a future project when I am making something for keeps. And I wouldn't have learned that if we hadn't tried this today. What did you learn? What are you going to take away from today's session? Think about what you would take away from your making session today. I'm going to leave the camera running like I do every week so we can be ready to make together again next time. See you soon.